Welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about Memorial Day forecast today and our margin versus forever and slight versus forever tomorrow. So let's get started, everyone. Alright, we can see this is our severe weather risk for today. We got a margin risk in Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, a margin risk in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. We can see Texas, New Mexico. Then we got a margin risk up in Montana, in Idaho, and Washington, and Oregon. We can see everyone. So let's move on to our next risk for today. We're going to be looking at now. Alright, so this is our wind risk, everybody, for today, for 5/25 Memorial Day. You can see we got a 5% wind risk for Texas, New Mexico, Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, we can see, in Louisiana. In Idaho, Montana, Washington, we can see Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Minnesota, we can see also another one in Minnesota, too. You can see also, so it's time to move on to our hail risk. Different days we are talking about before, just ignore that. So this is our hail risk for today. Got a 5% hail risk for Minnesota, Iowa. You can see also a little of, and another one in Minnesota and South Dakota. Also, we got a tornado risk for today. We got to talk about too. It's a small tornado risk for 5/25. We can see also on here too, guys. You can see from Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and maybe a little even Florida too. So let's talk about our Memorial Day, some of our radar projections for today, and temperatures for Memorial Day, everything we're going to talk about with our Memorial Day forecast. Okay, it's good going. Alright, so we're going to be looking at some radar projections, and we're going to be looking at our temperatures next for Memorial Day. So this is around 5 p.m. We can see we maybe have some storms in Mississippi. You can see also on here Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, maybe some pop-up storms in Texas. We can see also for 5 p.m. And 6 p.m. we can see we have some heavier thunderstorms in Alabama, Georgia. We can see also on here too some pop-up storms in Texas, Louisiana. See on here too, guys. We can see rain in Maryland. We can see rain in North Carolina, South Carolina. Rain in we can see over one of the Great Lakes. We can see we have some rain over. We get some rain in Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona. We can have also some rain and some maybe potential storms. We can see we have looks like a little line of storms in Georgia potentially for today. Around 7 p.m. we can see storms in Georgia, storms in North Carolina, South Carolina. You can see Maryland. We got some rain also on here. Some rain in Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona. We can see Wyoming. We got some rain in Montana. And we got some storm sign to pop up in Minnesota. You can see around 8 p.m. today. You can see in Minnesota. And we get some rain in North Carolina. We can see rain in Maryland. We can see also some maybe rain scattered in Colorado. Some maybe rain we can see over in Washington and California. You can see also on here too. Then 9 p.m. comes along. We can maybe have a couple storms up in Minnesota potentially. And maybe a scattered pop-up storm in Nebraska we can maybe see. Pop-up rain showers in Virginia, North Carolina. You can see also maybe potential storms there too, but you can see. But we got some rain, looks like scattered rain in Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Idaho, Montana, Washington, and Oregon too. We can see also on here in Wyoming. We can see also. Then 10 p.m. comes along. We can see we got maybe a storm up in Minnesota, a storm up in Nebraska, rain up in Colorado, rain up in New Mexico. We can see rain in Utah. Maybe we can have rain in California. Maybe a little in Washington and Oregon, in Idaho and Montana. Alright, Monday 11 p.m. we can see maybe we got a storm up in Minnesota, some rain showers in Florida, Georgia. We can see Virginia. You can see maybe even a little Maryland potentially. Colorado, New Mexico, Idaho. You can see Washington, Oregon. We can see also on here. Texas, Louisiana, also in Mississippi. Alright, so let's move on to our temperatures for today. Okay, let's go to that now. Alright, so this is our temperatures for today. So this is 8 a.m. we can see we got 60s in Kansas, 60s in Nebraska, 60s in Missouri, 60s in Arkansas, 70s in Louisiana, 70s in Mississippi, Alabama. Got some 50s in Colorado we can see, 40s in Wyoming, 40s in Utah, 70s in Arizona. We can see also in Ohio we're in the 50s and 60s we can see also. In Michigan we're in the 50s, in Minnesota we're in the 60s, Wisconsin we're in the 60s too on here, 60s in Illinois we can see. Alright, so let me move to our other part of the country. So let's move to the West region real quick. So this is what So this is 5, 6 in the morning in the west. We can see we got 50s in Nevada, 40s in Utah, 30s in Colorado, 60s in Washington, 40s in Oregon, and 50s in Washington. We can see also. So this is on our east region. We have 70s in South Carolina, 70s in Florida, 60s in PA, 50s in New York, 40s in Maine. We can see also. Then 11 a.m. we can see on here. We got 70s in Kansas, 70s in Oklahoma, 70s in Texas, 80s in Louisiana, 80s in Missouri. We can see 70s in Iowa, 70s in Minnesota. We can see 70s in Wisconsin, 70s in Illinois. We can see maybe even 77 in some parts of Illinois. We can see 78 in Nebraska, 70 in Michigan, 60s in Michigan, 60s in Ohio, 60s in Kentucky, 70s in Tennessee. We can see also Colorado. We can see 70s in Montana. We can even see some 70s too up there. Louisiana. We can even see some maybe potentially 80 in Texas too. Alright, so over here in our west region, we can see we got 70s in Nevada, 80s in Arizona, 70s in Idaho, 70s in Washington, 70s in Oregon, we can see, and 70s in Wyoming. Alright, so over here we got 80s in South Carolina, 80s in Florida, we can see, 60s in Virginia, 70s in Pennsylvania, 60s in New York, and 50s in the New England states, and 40s we can see also. Alright, so alright, 1 p.m. we can see on here. We got 80s in Kansas, we can see also. 87 in Nebraska, 76 in Iowa. We can see 80s in Missouri, 79 in Minnesota, 70s in Wisconsin, 70s in Illinois, 70s in Indiana, 70s in Michigan, 80s in Louisiana, 70s in Mississippi, 70s in Alabama, Georgia in the 80s we can see also on here. Florida, we're in the 90s almost, we can see in some spots. South Carolina, we're in the 80s too. North Carolina, we have some 80s too. And Ohio, we're in the 70s. And PA, we're in the 70s too. You can see also. Then over here in the west, we have 90s in Arizona, 90s maybe in part of Nevada almost, 80s, 70s in Idaho, 70s in Washington, 70s in Oregon, 70s in parts of California. You can see also too on here, guys. So, alright. 3 p.m. comes along, we can see on here. We got 90s in Kansas, 90s in Nebraska, 80s in South Dakota, 80s in North Dakota, we can see 80s in Minnesota, 80s in Illinois, 70s in Indiana, 70s in Kentucky, 70s in Tennessee, we can see 70s in Mississippi, 70s in Alabama, we can see 80s in Georgia, we can see also 80s in Colorado, 82 in Wyoming, 85 in Montana. You can see also on here 85 in Louisiana and 90 potentially even in Texas. You can see. Alright, Ohio we can have 75, 76, 73 today, 70s in PA. Florida we could be in the 90s. Illinois we could be in the 80s. Kentucky we're in the 70s. Maine we're in the 60s and 50s. In the New England states we're in the higher 60s and lower 70s. We can see in South Carolina and Georgia we're in the 80s. We can see. Alright, we can have even 90s over here at 1 noon today. We can have in Nevada. 90s in Arizona, Utah in the 80s, Idaho in the 90s, 80s in Montana we can see, in 80s and maybe even New Mexico in 70s we can see also on here. Alright, so 4 or 5 p.m. comes along, we can see we got 90s in Kansas, 80s in Iowa, 80s in Montana we can see, 80s in Iowa, 80s in Missouri, 80s in Arkansas, Louisiana we're in the 80s. In Ohio we're in the 70s, South Carolina we're in the 70s too. 60s in New York, Maine we're in the 60s too, 80s in Louisiana. You can see also too on here, guys. Alright, so this is our evening temperatures we can see around 9 p.m. we can see on here. We got 60s in Ohio, 70s in West Virginia, 70s in Virginia, 70s in North Carolina, 70s in South Carolina, 70s in Georgia, Florida we're in the 70s, 70s in Iowa, so let's move over here. 9 p.m., 9 p.m. we got 80s in Kansas, 90 maybe across Texas, 80s in Montana we can see, even some 70s in New Mexico. Alright, so we got some 90s in around 6 p.m. in California and Arizona. We got 90s we can see. Idaho we got 80s. We can see why Utah we got some 80s and 70s. 70s in Washington, and the other part of Washington in the 40s we can see on here too, guys. Alright, then we can see our temperatures cool down. So pretty much that'll be it for our temperatures we're gonna be talking about. So, all right, so we're gonna be talking about our site versus forever tomorrow now, guys. So let's go to that now. Alright guys, so this is our severe weather risk for tomorrow. We still got a slight risk of severe weather for Texas and a marginal risk for Texas. And we got now marginal risk up in Idaho and Montana. We can see also. So let's go to our tornado risk for tomorrow. We got a 2% tornado risk we can see for Texas. You can see in New Mexico. We can see also. Then we got a 15% wind risk for Texas and a 5% wind risk for parts of Texas. We can see that another 5% wind risk is separate wind risk in Idaho and Montana. Then we got hail risk for tomorrow. We got significant 1 hail risk potential for some large hail, 2+ inches in some spots. This means in Texas, if hail, we can have a 15% hail risk. Then a 5% hail risk in Texas and a little New Mexico. Then we got a 5% hail risk in a little Idaho and Montana. You guys, we can see also on here too, guys. So yeah, so pretty much for that. So let's look at some estimated radar projections real quick. Alright, we got our radar projections for Texas tomorrow, so this is around noon. But this could before then change a bit, so this is just an estimation of a projection. So I think this will be it will be high looking different by tomorrow when I'm doing their video. So this is at noon tomorrow. We can maybe have like a pop-up storm, but so far pop-up storm maybe near Oklahoma and Texas we can see. Then we can see 1 o'clock we start getting a little line of storms starting to appear in Texas we can see. Then we got a line. Then we got some rain in Oklahoma. We can see maybe a pop-up rain shower in other parts of Texas so far. Then by 2 p.m. we can see our line is starting to grow. We can see in Texas. We can see we can contain damaging winds, large hail. We can see in these storms also in a low-end tornado risk for tomorrow. So then we got maybe rain up in Texas, northern Texas, some rain in Oklahoma, some rain in New Mexico. Sorry, that's my water bottle because it's acting dumb. So you can see that. We got 4 p.m. on here. We can see everyone. We got some storms in Texas. You can see more. Some storms forming in other parts of Texas. We can see maybe there are rain showers in New Mexico right now. So then it starts changing around 5 p.m. We can see we got looks like some heavy downpours in southern Texas. We could have some storms starting up here in the middle of Texas. We can see some storms in New Mexico. We can maybe see also in other storms in northern Texas. We can see. Since 6 p.m. comes along, we have lines of storms starting to form in Texas and New Mexico. We can see in other parts of Oklahoma, we can have rain showers too. We can see maybe a pop-up storm in Louisiana. We can see also. Alright, 7 p.m. we can see our storms are really starting to get stronger. We can see in parts of Texas. In New Mexico, we got some rain showers too. And we got some storms in other parts of Texas. We can see southern parts of Texas. And 8 p.m. comes along, we can see our storms are starting to get really strong. We can see in southern Texas, we got heavy rain, large hail, potentially and damaging winds, and a low-end tornado risk. You can see in some of these storms over here also. Then 9 p.m. comes along, we can see we got a full line of storms forming. We can see in Texas, northern Texas, we can have a storm. Southern Texas, we got storms. Central Texas, some rain in New Mexico, maybe some storms there also. Then we can see 10 p.m. comes along. We got a line of storms soaring across Texas. We can see also. Then 11 p.m. we can see our line's really strong now. You can see forming going strong in Texas. We can see. Then midnight comes along, 1, 2 in the morning. We can see also on here. And we can see this radar projection saying this storm could go overnight. We can maybe see also, but I think it could change before then. We can see what happens. So the one storm looks like it starts going down. We can see, but I'll let you know what happens, guys. So I'll let you know if this keeps going, this radar projection thing. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something new today. I see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys. And make sure to subscribe to the notification bell. Never miss a video like this, guys. Okay, guys. I see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.